Okay guys, so I'm going to try something a little bit different. I wasn't really happy with the format of the show, so I'm trying to change it up. Bear with me a little bit, but we're just going to try and film as we go. Let's see how we do. And of course, as always, the first step is to Google it. So I looked up Chip from Beauty and the Beast, and luckily we have a ton of images here. My goal with this is to print it without supports. I don't know how feasible that is, but that's what I'm going to work towards. So most likely I would make this bottom flat, a little more similar to this picture, so it'd be standing perfectly on it. But I like the way that the face is in this one. Okay, so let's lay out the game plan for this model. I'm going to be creating it in Fusion 360, and I think I'm just going to be able to go into the sculpting environment and use a cylinder. I'll probably just put quite a few subdivisions along there, and then I'll just push in and pull out where I need to go. And I think, because like if he was completely uniform all the way around, I'd be able to do it in a sketch and just revolve it. But him being animated the way he is, you know, they typically tip the head back just a little bit. So especially where he's looking up, so the top will be slanted a little bit. And I won't be able to do that with revolving, so I think sculpting is the way to go for sure. And then I might be able to work in things like the cheek here, because that it looks like that pokes out a little bit, and maybe a little bit underneath the mouth. We'll see how I end up doing the mouth. And of course this will just kind of be a separate object, the nose / handle here. So I think that'll be good. Let's get started modeling. Okay, so we are at the halfway point with this model. I've got the basic shape there, I think. As you can see, it's pretty much like I described. I'm definitely a little bit over that 45-degree angle. So I might adjust that a bit to see if I can get it to print without supports. But I think this one's going to be pushing it anyway. I don't know, we'll see. I think I'm just going to do what I normally do and do a sketch and push it in a little bit. And then kind of the same thing for the eyes. And then I think I'm going to try and work in the cheekbone a little bit and try to give it some shape. I'm not sure 100% how I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to come back to the sculpting environment and just start with a new object and try and like meld it in a little bit. Then of course I've got to add details like the chip, which will be easy. I'll just create a sketch and cut it out. Then I've got to create the little like leaflets down here, which will be easy, just a sketch, and then I'll probably rotate the whole thing. And then the nose. Let's do it. Okay, so modeling has been completed, I think. This one was actually a really tough one. I had quite a bit of issues just getting the shape right, and most of it was related to this cheek and the mouth. You know, I wasn't happy with the way I was getting it to look, and I actually had to pull my wife in to get sort of an outside perspective and her advice on what to do to make it look better. And so she helped me. We adjusted the cheek a bit and adjusted the mouth a bit. I'm sure you can see it's a little bit different from the end of the modeling video that I just showed. But I think it's finally there. And you may be thinking this cheek looks ridiculous, all blocked out like that. In which I would agree with you. But if you actually go into like the render mode, it's a lot less extreme because it doesn't actually just like block off those areas. So it looks a little more natural there. I'm still not super happy with it, but I think that was the best I was going to get it in Fusion. But overall, I think that's chip. Got the chip in the side there, so I think we're good to get it printing. So I have downloaded the file and brought it into Simplify 3D. And as you can see, I've got it loaded up for printing on my Vinci Pro. And I want to talk briefly about the supports. It's going to need a lot of supports. And I know I said originally I was going to try to get it to print without supports. And it was very, very close. But the areas that are causing issues are right underneath the base part of the cup here, and the brim around the top, and I think a little bit under the nose here. And I tried to pull them out to be a 45-degree angle, and it just didn't look good. And so when I'm making these models, it's definitely appearance over printability. So it's unfortunate, but this is going to take a ton of support. And actually, it's not that bad. It's just the whole thing is going to be covered with support while you're printing it. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's open up the process settings real quick. And of course, with something like this, we're going to need a lot of detail. So I've got it set to high, which basically just means it's a 0.1 millimeter layer height. I contemplated going 0.5, but then the print was going to take forever. So then if we prepare to print, we get this lovely looking monstrosity. So like I said, the whole thing's covered in supports, but it's really not that bad. You can see over here, it's literally just the outside edge and a little bit underneath the cup. And if I come down, you can see just that. There's a little bit under the nose, but for the most part, it's just a ring of supports. So it's ultimately not going to take that much extra material, but it will take a little bit extra time. You can see that it's taking 16 hours. Like I said, I print these to make my wife's life a bit easier when finishing them. So print time and how much material I use are ultimately less of a priority for me. And you may be thinking, why not just flip it upside down, because that would require a lot less support. And I had that same thought, and so did my wife. And I tried it, but the top right here is not perfectly flat. So even if you flip it upside down and orient it completely flat right there, there's a little bit of a dip at the back, and the front pushes up just a little bit. And this right here as well. So I think it would be less supports overall. That's just something you'll have to decide for yourself. All right, well, I'm going to kick off this print. So after it finished printing, I pulled off the ring of supports around it and handed it off to my wife for painting. First, she sprayed it with some gray automotive filler primer, and then she went over it with some white primer since he is white and it'd be easier to paint over. And then she began taping off the inside of the cup area to get a clean line when she painted the gold around the top of it. She carefully painted all of the gold sections before moving on and painting on some of the other details. Then she proceeded to paint the black on the eyes. Then she painted the purple around the base that he sits on. And while the base dried, she painted on the pinkish colors for the mouth. Now that the base was a little bit drier, she could go in with the pink and the blue and fill out those little leaflets on the bottom. Then after the whole thing was painted and dried, she took it and sprayed the entire thing with a glossy clear coat. And that does a couple things. It protects the paint just a little bit so you don't have to worry about damaging it, and it just gives the whole thing a really nice glossy look to it. Well, there you have it, guys. This is Chip from Beauty and the Beast, and my wife and I have been talking about doing some of these guys for a while now, and with the big live-action movie coming out in about a month, figured it was the perfect time to get started. So you should probably expect to see more Beauty and the Beast coming relatively soon, but what better way to kick it off than Chip? Okay guys, well thank you for watching. If you wanted to download and print one of these for yourself, links as always are down in the description. And if you guys are curious about any of the equipment that my wife and I use, we put links down in the description to some of the most frequently asked equipment pieces. And if you're wondering about something not listed down there, go ahead and leave me a comment and I will try to get that updated with the necessary information. Also, if you would like to see the modeling process for this completely slowed down to its normal pace, I will be uploading that onto my second channel where I dump all of those files so you can watch the full thing in its entirety. I will also upload all of my wife's painting on there, just a little bit sped up, but you'll be able to see how she paints each of the details. So if you want to see any of those in more detail, I will put links to those down in the description as well. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next week, keep creating. Where do I put this guy? That's the Pokemon shelf. That's full. That's pretty full. We got some room there, but he'd be outshadowed. That's pretty full. I might have to move to some of the lower shelves for this one. For the meantime, maybe he'll sit next to Baby Dory. So, sorry, pea shooter. You gotta move back there with Beck. That'll definitely be a temporary spot for Chip, but two cute little guys right there. Totally worth it, huh?